Good morning, dear students. I request the students, those who have not switched on their videos, to switch on the video and to attend the class live. There are many students who are just posting their profile picture and not coming up live. So today we'll start the division of human body, and that also the topic that we are going to deal is the nervous system. So till yesterday, we have studied about the excretory system, and we had studied about the role of the kidney. And now we are starting up with the nervous system. The nervous system is very, very important for a person's body. And it is said to be the chief or the main controlling and coordinating system of the body. That means the nerves are helpful, the nervous system is helpful in controlling every activity of a human being, as well as maintaining the coordination between the body organs. What you think, what you want to act, or what you want to speak should be in coordination. It controls and regulates all activities of the body, whether they are voluntary or whether they are involuntary. Voluntary actions means the actions which are under the control of our will. And involuntary actions mean the actions which are not under our control. For example, the beating of the heart, the digestion of the stomach. These are all not under our control. Functioning of the kidney is not under our control. But if I want to lift up my hand, this is under my control. Mahika, Prakash, you are still not concentrating. If you don't want to study, just leave the class. Leave the class. I will not mind. I only want students who really sincerely want to attend the class. I don't know who is sitting behind you and why is that person also attending the class. She is hiding behind you. There is no need of two children attending the class. If you are from the same class, it's all right. But if you are not from the same class, then please go somewhere else and sit. So we were talking about nervous system. And still that child is sitting beside you. Mahika Prakash. Mahika Prakash. Still your sister hasn't gone away. Zoya Heather, please switch on your video. Zoya Heather 7C. Switch on your video. Why? God has given you all a beautiful face. Why do you hide it? So, the nervous system adjusts the individuals to given surroundings, like immediate surroundings. We are talking about the immediate surrounding, how you have to act upon. Suppose you are walking on the road and a dog is chasing you, then at that immediate moment, how you are going to react, this is what the nervous system is helpful in. And the nervous system is based upon the sensitivity, the conductivity, and the responsiveness. Sensitivity, how sensible you are, how sensitive your nerves are, how do they respond, how do they carry the messages to the brain and to the spinal cord. Conductivity, how they conduct the messages, the orders of the brain and the spinal cord to the sense organs. And responsiveness, and how do the sense organs respond, the nerves that are present in the sense organs respond. The nervous system is a network of specialized cells that communicate information about an animal's surrounding and itself. You cannot say that one nerve makes a nervous system. No, there are many nerves. As you had studied in kidney, that there were millions of nephrons which made up a kidney. Similarly, there are several nerves which make up the nervous system, or which unitedly are called as the nervous system. And these nerves are very, very special, as they are formed by special cells which are called as the nerve cells or the neurons. And they are also made of the cells which are called as the glia that aid in the function of the neurons. The last turn when I was explaining, I had explained about the glia to you all, that they are shorter than the nerve cells or the neurons. Then this I'm teaching in a nutshell. It is a revision, so I'm just revising in a nutshell. So the organization of the nervous system. Nervous system includes what all? Parts. The nervous system is mainly divided into two parts. Shambhavi, why are you distracted? Shambhavi, you are distracted, not watching the video but turning the pages of your copy. So the nervous system is divided into two sections, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system, the center word says, it is the main part of the nervous system. It processes, it interprets, and it stores information, tissues, orders to muscles, glands, and organs. Whereas peripheral nervous system, it transmits informations to and from the central nervous system. Then the central nervous system includes the brain and the spinal cord, whereas peripheral nervous system includes the somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. The peripheral nervous system we will not study in class 7. This will be studied later on in class 8. Now, the central nervous system, as you can see in this picture, it includes the brain and it includes the spinal cord. So, its function is to coordinate all actions. Coordinate means साथ-साथ तालमेल बैठाना, तारतम्य बैठाना, दो organs के काम करने के बीच में. And peripheral nervous system, it is made up of bodies, nerves, and it functions to connect the central nervous system to the rest of the body through neurons. What is the nervous system made up of? The nervous system comprises the brain, the spinal cord, the nerves, the ganglia, etc. The brain. Neurons are enclosed in the skull, or you can say that the brain is made up of special cells which are called as the nerve cell or the neuron. Don't be confused. If it is written a nerve cell, it is the same. It is neuron. Scientifically, we call it as neuron. Then spinal cord. It connects this is the spinal cord. It is connecting the brain with the other parts. Then nerves. They are bundles of neurons. And these are connected, or these are connected to different organs, to different sense organs. Cranial nerves emerge from the brain, which I had explained to you earlier, that the nerves which come out from the brain are called as the cranial nerves, and the nerves which emerge or come out from the spine are called as the spinal nerves. This is the structure of the brain. The brain is enclosed by 7 pieces of cranial bones. These are the bones, and all of them are joined together, or they come to meet at one point. And the point at which they meet is called as the suture. S-U-T-U-R-E, suture. Inside the brain, inside this brainy box, these bones are making the cranium. These bones are making the skull. These bones are also called as the skull bones. And the cranium. The cranium is also known as the brain box. So the brain is contained in the rigid skull, in this rigid skull, which protects it from injury. The bones make it rigid. The bones are hard, and they are hard to protect the brain. The major bones of the skull are the frontal bone, the temporal bone, the parietal bone, the occipital bone, and the sphenoid bone. These bones join at the suture lines, which I told you, these are the suture lines, and form the base of the skull. Indentations in the skull base are known as fossae. This you don't have to study. The anterior fossa, oh, okay, I will not describe this. Then we come here. Then this bony framework, the skull, protects the brain, and the brain itself is covered by 3 layers. You can see these 3 layers, 1, 2, and 3. These are the 3 layers, and the 3 layers of the brains are called as the meninges. They are given different names. The meninges, fibrous connective tissue that cover the brain and spinal cord. This is what covers the brain and the spinal cord. They provide protection, support, and nourishment. Nourishment means the food, the nutrients, the liquid food, which flows in the blood. The layer of the meninges are the dura mater. This is the meninges, the dura mater, the arachnoid, and higher mater. These are the names of the layers of the brain. Now let's move on. The fluid, the liquid part, which is present in between the membranes, is known as the cerebrospinal fluid. The cerebrospinal fluid is a clear and colorless fluid that is produced in the choroid plexus of the ventricles and circulates around the surface of the brain and the spinal cord. The CSF means cerebrospinal fluid, is important in immune and metabolic functions in the brain. It is produced at the rate of about 500 milliliters per day. The CSF may also be tested for immunoglobulins or presence of bacteria. It so happens that sometimes there occurs some infections in the bone. For example, bone TB. And that case, this fluid is taken out from the spine and it is tested for the infections. So we conclude that the brain is the part of the central nervous system located in the skull. It controls the mental processes and physical actions of a human being. If you are asked a question, what is brain? Describe brain. What do you know about brain? You can write many things, but if nothing more than 2 or 3 lines comes to your brain, then this much you must write. That the brain is the part of the central nervous system. It is located in the skull. It controls mental processes and physical actions of a human being. This is a small definition or a small explanation of the brain. Harshita, please concentrate. Then we had studied that the brain is divided into 2 parts. Brain is divided into 2 parts, the right part and the left part. This part will be, which is just in front of your left side, is known as the right side, and this part, which is in front of the right side of your body, is known as the left side. So the brain is divided into 2 halves, 2 parts. Aditya Dubey. What happened, Aditya Dubey? What happened, Aditya? Yes, ask.
Morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning.
Ma'am, brain only one color or it's of different colors?
I had shown you the color of the brain. The color of the brain is this. What I have shown to you, I will show you. Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Okay, I will show you. This is not the color of the brain. This is just to demarcate. It is to demarcate that what is the color of the, yeah, this is the color of the brain. It is of the skin color. It is slightly beigeish pink. This color is of the brain, not the color that is shown in this picture. In this picture, I have demarcated the two halves of the brain by coloring them into two colors so that you may understand it. It is not of the same color. So the part that you see here, which is wrinkled, जिसमें ढेर सारे ridges and furrows हैं, wrinkled हैं. This is the major part of the brain, and this is called as the cerebrum. And it has many folds in it. These folds, they increase the surface area of the brain. And when the surface area of the brain is increased, there will be more neurons in it and the more intelligence power. Okay, let me first. Cerebrum. The cerebrum again has four parts. The frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. I had explained that all four parts of the cerebrum, they have different functions to perform. Harsh Kumar, what is the problem? Harsh? Dhirendra Sakarwal, where are you? Dhirendra Sakarwal, your profile, your video is blank. Show your face. Now, what is the role of the frontal lobe? I mean, in the book, it is not given, but this is what the cerebrum is made up of. And in the brain, combined function of the cerebrum is given. But here, all four parts have different functions to perform. Like the frontal lobe, it helps in controlling the problem solving, the intelligent activities, attention, how you are attentive or not. This is what the frontal lobe is deciding. When you become distracted, it is the frontal lobe which does not help you to concentrate on something. Saurabh Tripathi, 7th F, please show your face. It helps you in the judgment power. It controls your behavior and it also controls your muscle movement. Shantanu Kumar, I'm not here to teach the profile picture. Shantanu Kumar, please show your face. I do not know why you hide your faces. Then the parietal lobe, it helps you to detect the pain, the pressure, the touch, and the visual functions. The occipital lobe, it helps in recognition of the color, this color, the yellow, the pink, purple, green, and red, all these colors are detected by the occipital lobe. And the words, what is written here, what you have to speak, and the movement of your body parts is all controlled by the occipital lobe. Temporal lobe helps in the visual and auditory memory. आपने क्या देखा पास्ट में, क्या देख रहे हैं, और क्या सुना था पास्ट में और क्या अभी सुन रहे हैं, ये सबको याद रखने के लिए आपका टेम्पोरल लोब है. Next is, see, in the book, it's written that the cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. You can underline that. It's given on page 55. It is the largest part of the brain. Then underline. It controls our thoughts, memory. intelligence, learning, and our sense organs. You have written it also in the answer. Nikita, are you able to understand better? Nikita, if you are able to understand, give me a thumbs up. Only your face is visible, Nikita. Only your face. Okay. Okay, Nikita. All right. If you have any problem, you can tell me. Yes. Then cerebellum. This is what we are going to discuss over here. This is, as the picture shows, that the cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. And then where is the cerebellum? It is just behind the occipital lobe. Here it is, the cerebellum, which is much smaller than the cerebrum. The cerebellum is posterior to the midbrain and pons. Gaurav Yadav. What is there to laugh? Gaurav Yadav, 7th F. You have to sit in the class concentrating and not misbehaving. So the cerebellum is posterior to the midbrain and pons. This, which part is the midbrain? Here, and this is the pons part. So it is below the occipital lobe. I have already told you the occipital lobe is somewhere here. It is just below that. The cerebellum integrates sensory information to provide smooth, coordinated movements. It helps, it controls all the information, it gathers also all the information, and for the smooth, coordinated movement of the body parts. It controls fine movements. It controls the balance of the body. And position means your posture, the way you sit, the way you stand, is all controlled by the cerebellum. Awareness of where each part of the body is, this also is detected by the cerebellum. According to your book, the cerebellum is situated below the cerebrum at the back of the brain. It is much smaller than the cerebrum and makes up about 10% of the brain's weight. It is an important part of the brain as it, now this is the function, underline it, as it controls balance, movement, muscle coordination. It is because of cerebellum only that we can stand upright, move around, and maintain our balance. All these activities of the body are maintained by cerebellum. Again, coordination of voluntary movements, timing, planning, and scaling of movement. It is not that I want to write on the board just now and my hand starts moving 5 minutes later. That will not be called as coordination. Immediately, if I think I have to write something, my hand should move for writing. Regulation of muscle tone, how the muscles are toned up, that also are regulated by cerebellum. Then regulation of posture and equilibrium. Posture is the physique, how you stand, how you sit, the way you stand and the way you sit. Akanksha Singh, you are distracted. 7th D, Akanksha Singh. Please sit attentively. There should be nothing to distract you. Regulation of conjugate eyeball movements, how your eyeball moves. This is also regulated by the cerebellum. If you want to see something to your right side, the eyeball should move to the right. If you want to look in front, the eyeball should move in front. This is the coordination or the regulation. Astarai, something is distracting you. Astarai, 7th E. Look at the screen and concentrate. Inhibition of motor cortex. Say, children, when you look at something and then you hear and you read yourself, 10% you will be grasped by seeing. 10% of it will be grasped by hearing or listening to it. And 10% when you read it by yourself. That makes up to be 30%. And the rest when you revise it. So if you are not concentrating now, you will not be able to memorize it because this will not be there in your brain. आपका brain इसको grasp ही नहीं कर पाएगा, cerebrum grasp ही नहीं कर पाएगा. आपने देखा cerebrum का 4 lobes है और हर लोब का काम अलग अलग है. 4 lobes में से एक लोब आपको सिर्फ देखने के लिए है, एक आपको सुनना है और बोलना के लिए है. तो अगर ये सारा कुछ आप नहीं करेंगे, नहीं देखेंगे तो फिर आपका याद नहीं. तो जो लोग डिस्ट्रैक्टेड हो रहे हैं वो लोग ये समझे रहिए, कुछ नहीं आएगा आपको, और इन बिटवीन द लेसन से आएगा ही आएगा. और अगर आपने लेसन नहीं पढ़ा तो आप नहीं जवाब दे पाएंगे, एग्जाम में अच्छा नहीं कर. जानवी निगम, several times you have been scolded to switch on your video. Class 7th day, Janvi Nigam. But I do not know why you keep your video switched off. Janvi Nigam, 7th day. Please switch on your video, Janvi Nigam. I do not know why you do so. Then comes the brain stem. Brain के जो part है वो थे cerebrum, cerebellum and medulla oblongata. So brainstem का ही एक part है medulla oblongata. The brainstem consists of 3 regions. That is the medulla oblongata, the pons and the midbrain. Now in this picture you can very well see that this part is called as the midbrain. जो थैलेमस से जस्ट नीचे है, दिस इज थैलेमस, एंड इसके ठीक नीचे है मिड ब्रेन, और मिड ब्रेन के पास ये जो उभरा हुआ हिस्सा है इसको बोलते हैं पॉन्स. प्रत्युष कुमार, पे अटेंशन. प्रत्युष कुमार, यू आर डिस्ट्रैक्टेड. 7th E, प्रत्युष कुमार. And this part is called as the pons part, and this part which connects the spinal cord to the brain, this is called as the medulla. So all of these 3, they make up the brain stem. The medulla oblongata contains all sensory and motor neurons, which we have discussed later on. If I'm having time, I'll describe this. Ascending and descending between the brain and the spinal cord. So the medulla oblongata contains the sensory and the motor neurons which ascend and descend between the brain and the spinal cord, or which are present there to connect the brain to the spinal cord. It contains cardiovascular center which controls heart rate, force of beat and diameter of blood vessels. Here in the medulla oblongata there is a center which is called as the cardiovascular center, and this center is responsible for controlling the heart rate. Heart rate means how fast or how slow or how correctly the heart beats. Force of the beat. Is the heart beating very rapidly or is the heart beating slowly? It all depends upon this cardiovascular center. This center also determines the diameter of the blood vessels. How thick should be the blood vessel, or how thin should be a particular blood vessel. The thickness and thinness of the blood vessels, or the diameter of the blood vessels, is controlled by cardiovascular center. This center is present in the medulla oblongata. Okay, so the work of the medulla oblongata is very, very important because it has got a very important center in it, which is helpful in regulating the heartbeat, the force of the beat, the diameter of the blood vessels, and also it controls the breathing of the human beings. It contains the medullary rhythmicity area, which adjusts the rhythm of the breathing. कार्डियोवैस्कुलर सेंटर के अलावा इसके अंदर मेडुलरी रिदमिसिटी सेंटर है, जो कि आपके ब्रीदिंग रेट को कंट्रोल करता है, आपके ब्रीदिंग की रिदम को कंट्रोल करता है. It also controls reflexes for swallowing. आप जो कोई चीज मुंह में डालते हैं उसको swallow करते हैं. This also is regulated by medulla oblongata. Please children, you can take a screenshot of this and take a screenshot of this so that you keep it for your further reference. याद करने के लिए आप इसको रख लीजिए. Controls reflexes for swallowing, vomiting also, coughing and sneezing. Receives sensory input from or provides motor output to cranial nerves. This is why if during an accident, this part, the back portion, this part of the brain and the neck region is damaged, then if it is severely damaged, immediate death takes place of the person. And if you are asked that why is it so, give the reason why. If the medulla oblongata is harmed, the person dies. You can say that because it contains the cardiovascular center, which controls the heartbeat, which controls the force of the beat, and which controls the diameter of the vessels, and it also controls medullary rhythmicity area, which controls the rhythm of the breathing. It controls the swallowing, vomiting, coughing, and sneezing, and it provides sensory input and output informations for the cranial nerves. That is why if this part is damaged, the person will die immediately. Sometimes if death does not take place, the person may become paralyzed throughout his life. So this was the reason. The spinal cord is the main pathway for informations connecting the brain and the peripheral nervous system, as the spinal cord is a part of the peripheral nervous system. The length of the spinal cord is much shorter than the length of the bony spinal column. Spinal column आपका बहुत लंबा है, 33 bones से बना है, but जो spinal cord का region है वो उससे थोड़ा छोटा है. The human spinal cord extends from the medulla oblongata and continues through the conus medullaris. Conus medullaris is not demarcated over here, but it lies still here. Near the first or second lumbar vertebrae, terminating in a fibrous extension known as the filum terminae. ये आपको याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Functions of the spinal cord. It helps in the reflex action. It helps in ascending tracts, means sensory nerves. The sensory nerves, they carry the informations. Descending tract, they bring the orders of the brain. Origin of the autonomous nervous system. Inhibitory neurons with different functions. So here in your book, it reads as the spinal cord, underline, the spinal cord is a long, thick bundle of nerves that extends from the medulla. What is the spinal cord? Define spinal cord. The spinal cord is the thick bundle of nerves that extend from the medulla to the lumbar vertebrae. It is surrounded and protected by the bony vertebral column. However, the length of the spinal cord is much shorter than the length of the vertebral column. It transfers, now this is the function, underline it. It transfers information between the brain and the rest of the body through nerves. It also controls the actions that do not involve the brain, underline that. And that do not involve the brain means the reflex action, because the reflex action does not involve the brain. It occurs by the orders of the spinal cord. It also controls the actions that do not involve the brain, and these actions are called as the reflex actions. These are the nerves which arise from the cervical or the neck region, from the chest region, from the lower back region, and from the tail region. You can see this black linings that are shown here. These linings represent the nerves that are arising from the spinal cord. We have already seen that this is the vertebral column, and inside it is a hollow space in which lies the spinal cord. This black one is the spinal cord. Now we talk about the nerves. In the book, it is described, Agrima, 70 Agrima. Please show your face, Agrima, 70 Agrima. Roll number 5. Agrima, you are not showing your face. Agrima. Sarthak Singh, show your full face. Agrima, please show your face. I am unable, the screen is black. This is somebody else is there who is not showing the face. Who is not showing the face. Yes. So in the book, it says that there are 3 types of nerves: sensory nerves, motor nerves, and mixed nerves. So sensory nerves, motor nerves, and mixed nerves, they have different names also. They can be called, sensory nerves are called as the afferent nerves. Sensory nerves are called as afferent nerves, underlined in the book. It is given in the book, so underline that. Then motor nerves are called as the efferent nerves. Underline that also. Now we'll see the functions of each of them. Some of the nerves in the body are specialized for carrying information in only one direction. Now यहाँ पर मैं आपको हिंदी में बता दूं कि कोई भी नर्व कई सारे न्यूरॉन्स से मिलके बने हैं. न्यूरॉन्स के एक्सॉन से मिलके. Aditi Pandey, just why are you lying down, Aditi Pandey? Yes, जो एक्सॉन्स हैं नर्व्स के, वो मिल करके एक बंडल बनाते हैं और इस बंडल को हम नर्व बोलते हैं. ये बंडल्स नर्व्स जो हैं 3 तरीके की हैं, सेंसरी, मोटर, मिक्स्ड. तीनों के अलग अलग काम हैं. अभी वही हम लोग पढ़ने जा रहे हैं अबाउट द सेंसरी नर्व्स. That some of the nerves in the body are specialized for carrying information in all directions. कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन आपके सेंस ऑर्गन्स को मिली, जैसे कि मैं इस वक्त कंप्यूटर देख रही हूँ, ठीक है, आप इस वक्त कंप्यूटर देख रहे हैं, टीचर की बात को सुन रहे हैं. ये सारा इंफॉर्मेशन जो है ये नर्व्स आपके ब्रेन तक पहुंचाती हैं. इन नर्व्स का काम वन वे ट्रैफिक की तरह है. वन वे ट्रैफिक में हम एक ही रास्ते से सीधे सीधे जा सकते हैं, उसी रास्ते से हम वापस नहीं आते हैं. तो सिमिलर इज द केस विद द सेंसरी नर्व्स, कि सेंसरी नर्व्स आपके सेंस ऑर्गन से इंफॉर्मेशन लेकर के सीधे उसको ब्रेन तक पहुंचा रहे. Nerves that carry information from sensory receptors to the central nervous system only are called afferent nerves. और इन्हीं को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Afferent nerves बोलते हैं. इसी को हम sensory nerve बोलते हैं. Look at the book. Sensory nerves bring messages from the sense organs to the brain. They bring information from all the body parts to the brain. They are also known as afferent nerves. So afferent nerve का दूसरा नाम है sensory nerve. Then the other neurons known as the efferent nerves, they carry signals only from the central nervous system to effectors such as the muscles and the gland. अभी आप देख रहे हैं कि afferent nerve का काम है क्या करना? sense organs to the brain. ये ब्रेन की तरफ इंफॉर्मेशन डायरेक्ट करते हैं और जो इफरेंट नर्व्स ये जिसको मोटर नर्व्स कहते हैं, मोटर नर्व्स, what is their function? They bring the orders from the brain to the sense organs or to the muscles, and different organs of the body parts. Okay. Next is the mixed nerves. Mixed nerve function like two-way street. अब जैसे two-way streets है, उसी तरह से mixed nerve काम करती है. क्या काम है इनका? Where afferent axons act as lanes heading towards the central nervous system. और जो efferent axons हैं, they work as bringing the informations, act as lanes heading away from the nervous system. So ये mixed type की जो nerves हैं, ये informations को brain तक लेते भी जाते हैं और वापस भी लेकर आ रहे होते हैं. Mixed nerves. क्योंकि इसमें दोनों तरीके की नर्व्स हैं, वो ब्रेन तक ले भी जाते हैं, ब्रेन से वापस भी लाते हैं, दोनों काम. ठीक है. अभी आप यहाँ देखिए, पहले अंडरलाइन दिस, नो मोर में अंडरलाइन करिए. अनन्या त्रिपाठी, प्रोफाइल पिक्चर इज देयर. See here, no more, page 56. Underline, a voluntary action is any action that we perform as per our will or according to our will. Please underline this. It is given on page 56 to know more. Such actions are under the control or willpower. For example, when we feel hungry, we pick up a fruit and eat it. Eating or picking up is a voluntary action. आपका मन करेगा तो आप इस चीज को उठाएंगे, आपका मन नहीं है तो आप इसको रख देंगे. So जो actions हमारे will power पर depend करते हैं उसको हम voluntary actions कहते हैं. Then underline, an involuntary action is any action which occurs without a conscious choice or will. ऐसे एक्शन जिसमें हमारी इच्छा इंक्लूड नहीं है, वो एक्शन इनवॉलंटरी एक्शन. अक्षता, you are laughing and eating something. This is not the time. Suppose if the teacher is eating and teaching, how will you feel? Akshata 7C. Distracted. खाने पीने के लिए इसके बाद का टाइम था और इस पीरियड से पहले का हाफ एन आवर था. क्या आप क्लास में बैठ के कुछ खा पी सकते हैं? आपको कैसा लगेगा आपकी टीचर अगर यहाँ पर बैठ खड़ी होके खाती रहेगी? You must have some sense, children. Some sense, some duty, some respect. Then involuntary actions जो हैं, वो actions हमारी will के, हमारी इच्छा के कंट्रोल में नहीं है. मोहम्मद अमर, you are always distracted with the video. Either you switch off the video, now you are placing your hand on the video, on the camera. Mohammed Amar, now vanished, gone. Next is the reflex action. This is what I'm explaining it here. बाद में आप कहेंगे मैं इसने नहीं समझाया. A reflex action is also an involuntary action. ये involuntary action है. It does not depend upon our will. ये इस पर डिपेंड नहीं करता कि हम ऐसा करें या ना करें. अगर आप किसी चीज से जल गए हैं, जैसे यहाँ पे कैंडल है, अगर कैंडल्स के फ्लेम से आपकी फिंगर टच कर गई तो दैट डज नॉट मीन्स कि आप फिंगर लगाए रहेंगे. जब मेरा मन करेगा तो मैं हटाऊंगा, नहीं करेगा तो नहीं. अगर ऐसा होएगा तो आपकी उंगली तो पूरी जल जाएगी. So such kind of actions which occur immediately, such actions are called as reflex actions. और जब ये immediate हो रहे हैं तो that means मोहम्मद अमीर हमजा, अभी तक की किसी भी क्लास में आपने वीडियो ऑन नहीं किया है, आपने हमेशा एक प्रोफाइल पिक्चर लगाई है। ये सारा इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफिस में कलेक्ट हो रहा है। These are all collected. Either you will be marked absent or some necessary actions will be taken. Arnab Mishra, video is switched off. Arnab Mishra, 7th B. So, it is an involuntary action. It is an automatic and instantaneous. Instantaneous means very quick action in response to a stimulus. You sneeze when dust particles or some other particles like chili powder, etc., enter your nose. And such actions are not determined, or such actions does not include the orders of the brain, but these occur by the quick orders of the spinal cord. यहाँ पर reflex action आपको समझाया गया है. What happens? Briefly, state the events that precedes a stimulus in organism. First, event begins with the receptor detecting a stimulus from a sensory organ. The stimulus could be in the form of a pressure, temperature, or chemical. Say here, what happens is that the sensory organ, that is the skin, the finger, the skin, is detecting the flame, the burning flame, the heat of the flame. Anukriti Oja, you have left a small child to study. 7th B, Anukriti Oja. Anukriti Oja, 7th B, आपने एक छोटा सा बच्चा सामने बैठा दिया है और आप गायब हो गए. अनुकृति ओझा 7th B. छोटा बच्चे का एडमिशन 7th B में हो गया क्या अनुकृति की जगह? You should be sensible enough, Anukriti Oja. You are playing. Anukriti Oja. So this is followed by the sensory neurons sending a signal to the relay neuron. Now it has received the stimulus, the sense, and it is carrying it to the spinal cord. And the spinal cord gives the reply, the orders, and it carries back to the muscles. And then what happens? The hand is pulled off. So this is the reflex action. And the pathway of which the reflex action takes place is called as the reflex arc. So this is all about this chapter we have revised. And under the keywords, please underline brain, the control center of a body which is situated in the skull. Then underline lungs help in excreting carbon dioxide. Underline the last point. Liver secretes substances like cholesterol, bile pigments, extra vitamins, and drugs into the bile. So whatever is given in quick review, whatever is given in keywords, in test yourself, in no more, all are a part of your syllabus, and you will get questions from them. So now I've revised most of the things with you, and please study The other excretory organs also I have revised with you. Please study the common disorders of the urinary system. The common disorders of the urinary system is UTI, urinary tract infection. When we control urine for a longer period of time, or when we have some bacterial infection, then the UTI or the urinary tract infection takes place. Kidney stones. We eat several things, and when they are digested, afterwards, if there is excess mineral deposition in the kidney tubules, then the kidney stones are formed. These kidney stones could be big enough or small, and they occur due to accumulation of the calcium oxalate, etc. So now it's all done, children. All the best for your exams. All the best, children. Yes, if there is any question that needs to be answered. Manya, please ask.
While you were showing an image of cerebrum which has four parts, in that frontal lobe it is written that it controls the muscle movement, and in occipital lobe it is written that it controls the movement. Means I cannot understand the difference between what is
Movement of
asking.
eyeballs. Okay.
Ma'am?
Next. Movement of the eyeballs. Next one. This is Harshita. Yes, Harshita.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to ask that reflex action is instantaneous and it is response to stimulus. So means it gives response to the spinal cord. No.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Only I have to ask this only. Thank you.
Yes. जो भी मैसेज है, जैसे कि अगर फिंगर ने किसी गर्म चीज को छुआ, तो यहाँ पर सेंस ऑर्गन्स में जो नर्व्स हैं, ये इसको कैरी करके कहाँ ले जाते हैं? आपके स्पाइनल कॉर्ड में, और स्पाइनल कॉर्ड इमीडिएटली इसके लिए आपको ऑर्डर्स देता है कि जस्ट पुल योर हैंड्स. ठीक है, तो आपके मसल्स इमीडिएटली कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करते हैं और हैंड्स पुल. ऑलराइट, देन हु हैज टू आस्क? अनुष्का शुक्ला. यस अनुष्का. Yes, Anushka.
Good morning, ma'am. Miss, I have to ask that why the cerebellum is in black in color.
Cerebellum is not black and color.
It
If you have seen the picture carefully, and if you have heard what I said, you would have not asked this question. Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Anushka. Yes. Then Janvi Nigam. जानवी निगम, आप तो कभी अपना फेस तो दिखाती नहीं है, अभी आप शो कर रही हैं, कभी आप नहीं दिखाती है. ओके, नाउ शो, आस्क व्हाट यू वांट टू आस्क. जानवी निगम. जानवी,
My camera is on.
Pardon?
Yes, good morning, ma'am.
Yes, ask.
Ma'am, miss, my voice is coming.
Interrupted. It is interrupted. रुक के आ रही है. Now it's not coming.
Miss, ma'am,
Yes.
in nerves, what you have told to underline?
I have told to underline all, whatever is given in the book, under the heading nerves. Please mute yourself. The person who is coughing, please mute yourself. जो खांसी आ रही है जिसको, वो जल्दी म्यूट करिए अपने आप को. Sohani, ask what you want to ask.
Ma'am, good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Ma'am, right now you told us 2-3 points to highlight. In keyword, you told to highlight brain.
Where were you?
That I have highlighted, and when you were telling to highlight,
Sohani, उस समय आप कहाँ थी?
Miss, I was attending the class only.
तो फिर आप कैसे मिस कर गए?
No,
अगर
Miss, your voice was interrupted due to network connection, so I can't hear what you said to underline in quick review. I heard that you have said to underline brain.
last 2 points.
Last
About the
2
lungs
points.
and about the liver. Yes, mute yourself. Mute yourself. Okay. Now, Shruti Mohan. Yes, Shruti. Shruti Mohan, I'm unable to hear you. I'm unable to hear you. Shruti, I'm unable to hear you. Yes, speak up. No, I'm not able to hear you. Not able to hear you. No. Speak up.
Miss, what
Now, speak loudly. Speak
is
loudly.
the function of special shock proof fluid?
Your voice is not clear. Please say it clearly.
Miss, your voice is not coming.
My voice is not coming. My voice is clear. Check your mic.
Miss, I said, what is the function of special shock proof fluid?
Special shock proof fluid. That is not special. It is cerebrospinal fluid. Understood that? And cerebrospinal fluid protects the spinal cord as well as the brain. Mute yourself. Ayushman Singh, you will not be answered because you are not showing your video, not showing your face. Please show your face and then ask. Varuna Lakhmani, ask me.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes.
Miss, in previous class I was asking one doubt, miss, but my voice was not coming to you.
Yes. What do you
Miss, so miss, I was asking that, miss, what is miss, I've not understood reabsorption.
रीअब्जॉर्प्शन? देखिए, ऐसा होता है कि जब बाउमेंस कैप्सूल में ब्लड फिल्टर होता है, तो फिल्टर होकर के फिल्टरेट आता है बाउमेंस कैप्सूल में, फिर वो प्रॉक्सिमल डिस्टल ट्यूब्यूल में आता है. ठीक है? प्रॉक्सिमल डिस्टल ट्यूब्यूल में यहाँ पर आता है. लेट मी ड्रॉ द पिक्चर एंड देन आई शो. ये हुआ बाउमेंस कैप्सूल, ये हो गया प्रॉक्सिमल कॉन्वोल्यूटेड ट्यूब्यूल, ये आया है नेस और फिर ये कॉन्वोल्यूटेड होकर के डिस्टल कॉन्वोल्यूटेड ट्यूब्यूल. ओके, नाउ यहाँ पे ग्लोमेरुलस. सो जब ग्लोमेरुलस से ब्लड फिल्टर होता है, ब्लड फिल्टर होकर कहाँ आया? बाउमेंस कैप्सूल. तो जब ये फिल्टर होता है तो फिल्टर किस चीज से होता है? उसमें से जितना नाइट्रोजनस वेस्ट होता है वो सारे का सारा छान दिया जाता है. ठीक है, वो छान के इसमें आ जाता है. लेकिन जैसे कि हम लोग देखते हैं कि चाय की जब चाय छानते हैं तो चाय की पत्ती का जो मोटा मोटा बड़ा बड़ा पार्टिकल्स होता है वो तो स्ट्रेनर में आ जाता है, लेकिन अगर कुछ महीन या पाउडरी चीज होता है वो वापस छन के चाय में आ जाता है. इसी तरीके से जो पार्टिकल्स इसके अंदर से छन जाते हैं जो इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं, लाइक ग्लूकोज पार्टिकल्स, कुछ विटामिन हो सकते हैं, वो सारे के सारे क्या होते हैं? वो भी इसमें आ जाते हैं और फिर वो प्रॉक्सिमल कॉन्वोल्यूटेड ट्यूब्यूल से पास होते हुए रहते हैं और यहाँ पर फिर सब वेन्स और कैपिलरीज है. ठीक है, तो ये कैपिलरीज में ये रीअब्सॉर्ब हो जाते हैं. जो यूजफुल चीजें हैं वो ब्लड में से होती हुई इन कैपिलरीज में आ जाती है, ताकि कोई भी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज, कोई भी यूजफुल चीज वो छन के यूरिन में बाहर ना निकल जाए. इसी को हम बोलते हैं रीअब्सॉर्प्शन. Understood, Varuna? Okay. All right, mute yourself. Mute yourself, Varuna. Then who has to ask? Please raise your hand, those who have to ask. Shruti Mohan, you have to ask. Who is this? Aryan Mishra, 70. Yes, Aryan. What do you want to ask? Aryan,
Miss, I have doubt related to exams.
what?
Hello.
Yes.
Miss, if in exam questions comes, define energy, then we have to write energies and reaction or energies and overreaction. That's what we have to write.
Allergies and reactions? What are you saying?
Miss, it comes that energies and reaction, or we have to write energies and overreaction. That's what we have to write in this.
What answers?
Miss, which is correct.
Answers are given to you now. Questions will be
Yes, miss.
asked and the answers are provided to you. Whatever is the answer that has been provided to you should be written in the exam. Okay? Then anybody else? Okay, children? All the best. All the best to you. God bless you all. Answer your exams well. Do not use any unfair means. कोई भी गलत साधन का प्रयोग नहीं करेंगे, मतलब चीटिंग नहीं करेंगे, ना तो बुक खोल के रखेंगे ना तो कॉपी खोल के रखेंगे. खूब अच्छे से पढ़िए, खूब अच्छे से आंसर करिए. ठीक है? So all the best. God bless you all.